Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Airsick Hydra. Within this, we're going to be doing some Warhammer Fantasy roleplay prep, some good old school GM prep, and we're going to be running through a mock adventure which I've already concocted the rough framework for. So this is going to vaguely resemble some story time. It's also going to vaguely resemble some GM prep. It may serve as inspiration perhaps to some of you GMs out there that want a few ideas. Perhaps even one or two of you may want to run the adventure yourself as is and let me know how it goes. I'd be really curious to hear. So what I've basically concocted, and for those of you watching the campaign, don't worry, this isn't the next session, this is just something I've brewed up to put on the back burner, but it was basically an afternoon's daydreaming and, well, here we go. So this is set when the adventurers are moving from A to B, one town to another town via land. It doesn't matter where it is, this could be anywhere, as the location and geographical sort of area doesn't really matter, as long as it's semi-appropriate for there to be a farm or an orchard or something of the sort. So what we have in this setting here is the adventurer group appearing at an orchard, and shout out to the map as well, made this using Gogot's assets on DeviantArt. Check out his stuff, it's absolutely amazing. Put them together, colour them in, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. So this is my little orchard slash farm. It could be either, whatever you want to call it. So here we have our fluffy duffy little adventurers that have come along, made by the token of the gnome. So what we'll do is we'll just turn the nameplate on to make this a little bit easier. Now, for me, one of the things about Warhammer Fantasy, for at least the roleplay adventures I've read thus far, is it's not what it seems to be the underlying theme to everything. So you present players with something that seems fairly clear, and someone is not necessarily who they are pretending to be, or no one is who they're pretending to be. For me, that is what this seems like it's all about, given the adventures I've read so far. So what we're going to do here is we're going to present the group with a fairly typical encounter. There's going to be a witch hunter here, and he's going to be stood beside an old lady, and he's going to be casting her out and making accusations of being a witch. "This lady, have you not seen your crops recently growing slower? Did you not really..." Basically, he's going to be pointing his finger and shaming the rest of the crowd for not realising that she's blatantly a witch. She is going to be old, fairly frail, pleasant looking though, and she is going to be bound up, kneeling beside him, saying, "Oh, shut up and kill me already." A little bit odd. It would generally go two ways when one captures a witch. "Oh no, I'm not a witch, don't do it," or "Ha ha ha, I'm an evil witch, have some magic." Well, this lady's just going to sit there, resigned to her fate, and say, "Kill me." So this is going to present as a bit of a oddity, perhaps a curiosity to the group. Well, we're not going to just rely on them piqued by that, because of course she's actually not going to be a witch, but she says she is. Why is this? Well, we'll find out in a little bit. If the adventurers aren't curious enough by that, after all of the fuss has died down, we will have the old man who basically owns the orchard approach the orchard owner. Simple enough. He'll waddle over with his son, presenting to be the friendly family that they are, and he will approach the adventurers and say that they lack the means to do so, but he does not believe that this old lady could possibly be a witch. She's been in the town for some 5 to 6 years. She even helped to deliver his son and save his son's life. Wife's no longer in the picture. Since then, the lady has been a herbalist, a healer, a midwife, or whatever you want to call it, assisting on the farm wherever necessary, but there's never been any inkling of any sorcery whatsoever. So he's very, very concerned about this, and he wants you to try and clear the name. Now, thus far, I think we've set a good grounding for the adventurers, because we have some morality. If any of your adventurer group are particularly, let's say, virtuous, we also have maybe the promise of a little bit of coin as well. He owns an orchard, so maybe you could offer them a couple of gold coins just to keep them going as such. So there's always the greedy incentive too. And then there's also the curiosity of, well, the witch hunter really thinks that this is a witch. She is saying, "Hurry up and kill me," and well, this other guy's saying, well, she's definitely not a witch. So what's going on? What could be the cause of all of this? Well, hopefully this will be enough to stimulate the adventurers. If they want to decline this at this point and scoot off, then, well, move on to the next adventure. Absolutely fine. But What we'll do at this point is we'll say that the old lady is taken by a couple of goons that actually came along with the witch hunter. He'll order her to be shoved inside the barn and they will stand guard while he goes off and does very important witch hunter things, which we'll cover in a moment. Now, firstly, I feel like we should come back to, well, why is she wanting him to kill? Well, all is not as it seems. This lady arrived 5 to 6 years ago. She used to work in a church. Let's say she was of the healing disposition, or one of the temples. And guess what? She felt that one of the items within there was not necessarily blessed but tainted. It was cursing some of the other people around it. It seemed to be corrupt. So she stole it without permission and ran away with it after the others did not believe her cries. She ran away as far as she could, and she ended up in the middle of nowhere and hid it, and has stayed here to stand guard over where she has hidden it, not wanting it to fall into the hands of strangers. So she's basically waiting for the opportunity to destroy it, or give it to someone that it may be safe with, or maybe just keep it away from absolutely everyone. So, as far as they are aware, she just says she's a witch, though. So that will be her backstory for the meantime. The witch hunter is actually going to know that this is the lady that stole the item. However, rather than alert the town that there is a valuable item here and risk people running away with it or going looking for it themselves, he simply wants an excuse to burn her alive as a threat to make her admit to where it is. They'll already have had this conversation before you arrive, but basically he will have interrogated her or attempted to, try to find out where the item is, and because nothing went according to plan, he's just going to threaten to execute her in the morning, hoping that allowing her to stew for a little while, this will be enough to allow her to change her mind and give him the item, which he believes is simply something that needs to be reclaimed. Well, now we have a dilemma. So, the rest of the crowd will mosey on into, let's say, the mansion of the orchard owner or the larger of the houses. The witch hunter at this point can go wherever you like. We could either have him go towards her home to do some ransacking, although doing that in front of the others might raise suspicion. So maybe he's going to go and just simply have some drinks inside the tavern. Maybe that's blasphemy for him to drink. Who knows? Maybe he likes to anyway. Maybe he could be a little bit on the quirky side and not potentially quite as official as one might expect. The group at this point have been approached by the owner, who's been absolutely adamant that there's nothing foul going on here, and then they have gone off. Now, thus far this is seeming like quite a simple adventure, and I feel like we should throw a couple of other elements into this to make it a little bit more, let's say, interesting, make things a little bit more spiced up, because we want things happening that the adventurers might delve into or might not, but if they don't delve into one thing, you want them to realise that there is an organic world around them and things happening outside of their control as well. So by that I mean, let's throw some more variables at them. Let's have this lady over here. We bring her up, we'll give her a name. She is the assistant of the old lady, and she also thinks, well, this is a bit strange because she's not magic. But wait, the assistant actually knows a few petty spells. Turns out that she is a little bit of a witch in the brewing. Not a bad one, she's a nice one. However, she feels actually maybe this has happened and it's all her fault. Maybe she's overridden with guilt. And her husband over here, she's going to tell her husband later. They're going to go back home or go to the tavern if they've been ordered to, but let's say they go back home and they converse over this. The husband at this point is going to obviously insist, no, do not tell the witch hunter and get yourself killed. Doesn't matter how important the old lady is to you. Look at me, I'm your husband. Maybe try and stay alive, but she's overridden with guilt. So what's going to happen as a result of that? I think it's a fairly safe call that the husband at some point is going to get in an altercation with the witch hunter when he can get him alone. There's going to be a fight break out. Of course the adventurers will be nearby. Of course the adventurers will then be faced with a dilemma. Okay, so we've got another variable at this point. We've got something else that can happen to make this a little bit more interesting. Well, what else can we do? Because I think we're missing one more layer of stuff. And this, I think, will become useful later on. These three saucy little monkeys over here are actually going to be chaos cultists, of course. I mean, this is Warhammer after all. They're going to be demon worshippers. How did this happen? Well, someone passing through the town some time ago, so let's say 6 months, shared with them a story and a tale and gave them an item or a small book, and one of them knew just the beginnings of how to read, and they've been mumbling and fuddling and bumbling their way along in trying to basically worship Slaanesh, because there's not a lot to do on an orchard. Apples aren't a lot of fun. Slaanesh, loads of fun, at least so they say. So they're going to be, actually, what's going on? Maybe they're going to go later on, sneak to the other side of the barn, try and maybe consult with their deity as to what's going on and accidentally summon a demon. Oh well, that's just Warhammer. But doesn't have to be this, it could be something else. Why are they going to do that? They're basically just going to panic and fluster, thinking, well, the witch hunter's onto her, maybe they'll be onto him next. They need to get the witch hunter out of there. So rather than lying low, they're pretty thick. They're going to go and consult with their deity by doing some Buddha around. So let's say the back barn over here. I think the shed is a good place to do so. So during the late evening, they will sneak off to here. During the late evening as well, the witch hunter will sneak out. Of course, this will be made apparent to the adventurers. If the adventurers are upstairs in bed, the witch hunter will go past their room. If they're downstairs having a drink, the witch hunter will give them a perception test, make it fairly easy. They will spy the witch hunter sneaking out with a torch. Will the adventurers follow? Who knows? While perhaps for the interim before this point, we'll have the adventurers locked in here with the witch hunter. Maybe they can converse with him. Maybe he can come across a little bit shady. They can perhaps even interrogate the other villagers that are within here and try and establish what's going on with this scenario. Average expectation, I would say, and this could of course go in many different directions, will be the witch hunter will go out in search and basically ransacking her home. Could be any one of these buildings, it really doesn't matter. Basically going to ransack it, search for it. The adventurers are going to hear the noise. They've got options available to them. They could maybe sneak around the back of this. There could be a loose panel. They could make their way inside and have a conversation with her and say, hey, what's going on? Trying, obviously, to do it sneakily because there's two guards stood outside currently playing tiddlywinks or whatever they want to do. Having a conversation about their favourite type of, hey, whatever. So the adventurers could sneak in, they could ask her, and maybe if they can convince her, she'll say that she's there guarding an item. She doesn't want to tell them where it is, but it's of the utmost importance. Or maybe she'll tell them to grab it and run. Maybe that's the best thing, is she'll tell them where it is. They'll go over to the building, the witch hunter's already there. Maybe they have to wait for him to go. Maybe he'll find it, maybe he won't. At that point, we could have the husband jump on in. Altercation with the witch hunter, and the group is faced with a dilemma. Do we defend the witch hunter, or do we allow things to run their course, or do we defend the man and quickly subdue the witch hunter, which of course we all know can end rather badly when a witch hunter goes missing. It's not unusual for a whole village to be burned down at a later date. So for me, this is a rough framework of a adventure that you guys could hopefully run and hopefully find it interesting. There could be several different plots and twists that could go around this. We could have, instead of the altercation here, that could be saved for the morning. We could have these guys accidentally summon a demon. You've got any one of these variables to play with to try and move your adventures around. There's not loads happening because we've got a small sandbox, but there should hopefully be enough to keep things fairly interesting and keep some degree of momentum. If the adventurers get stuck in here with the witch hunter who doesn't want to allow anyone to leave, then, well, maybe the adventurers can see these three individuals sneak out the back, raising some suspicion. They could move out there. Maybe they'll oversee them actually casting a spell, point the witch hunter to them, and then they'll slay these three and the demon together, perhaps, and then be slightly concerned at the fact that the witch hunter's still not satisfied, that the lady's not the witch. There's all sorts of ways we can wrap this one up, but guys, hopefully that's going to be a useful little bit of story time, a little bit of an adventure for you to perhaps even run yourselves. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you'd like me to do one of these videos every other week where I run through an adventure idea for you, let me know, because it's something I think it might work if we build up sort of 20, 30 of these, and you've got a nice little library you can turn to if you need a bit of inspiration. I'm not saying they're the best in the world. I'm still learning to DM, but hopefully they're passable, let's say. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link down in the doobly-doo to the Dropbox so you can get the maps as well, and that way you can run the adventure on the same map if you so like. Guys, have yourself a great day. Remember to leave me your thoughts down in the comments below, leave me a like button, and see you around. Take care.